You guys see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. And it's a size that you can read.
No, we can't read
Should I make it
it,
bigger?
but
Should I make it
I
smaller?
think there's the tutorial is uploaded on the OneDrive. So I just
No, so
downloaded
just
mine
thinking because
and opened mine as on a separate document.
Yes, it's fine now. We can see and read.
Yeah, now we can read.
you can see and read. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so the focus of this class is going to be around exam technique. So from what I heard you guys say yesterday, somebody mentioned something about time management. So we'll see how we can fix the time management. And then somebody also mentioned having read the question, but then didn't understand and only realized when there was that they misread the question. I did forget to ask though yesterday if you misread the question in terms of misreading the scenario, or was it misreading the question in terms of misreading the required? So if the person who had left that comment last night is here, if you could just clarify, that would be great. Okay, I'm assuming they're not in the class or they haven't joined yet. Okay, who was able to attempt the question? I see one hand up, so only one person attempted.
Hello, Unati. Sorry to disturb you.
Hi. No
Can you
problem.
hear
Go
me?
for it. I can.
I think yesterday with regards to the question, he said that he misread the question itself. So he focused on the wrong section instead of the one specified in the question.
Oh, sorry, you cut out a little bit there. You said he focused on what?
He said he read the question wrong, the required wrong.
Okay, so he read the required wrong. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
So
Okay.
he said he was supposed to use the background information and he went into the whole scenario to answer the question.
Oh, I see. I see. Similar to how this question is set up, where it's got a background and then it's got other things. Okay, so I wanted us to focus on reading the question and understanding the scenario, and then also reading and understanding the required. So from the people that attempted the question, what did you guys think of the question, and are there any aspects that you struggled with? There were some hands that people attempted the question. Where are the people who attempted the question?
Hi, Unati and the colleagues.
Hi, Ronald.
Okay, I'm one of the people who attempted the question, and I think my struggle is on just to put my answers down. I think so. I somehow take time to actually think what is the right way of actually structuring my answer. For instance, question number A, where it speaks about the risk of material misstatement at an assertion level. So I was somehow not sure whether I need to say existence as my heading, then put my answer, or should I just put all the assertions and then put my answers below that? Because yeah, it gives me a challenge when I have to somehow put. I can see the triggers,
Okay.
or the risks. Yeah, so that's all.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I've got that as something that I wanted to cover as well. Anything else? Anyone else?
Hi, Unati.
Hi.
So
Hi,
I
Fumuzi.
Yeah, I struggled with, I think, identifying the business cycle, because I was like, does this fall under the first question? Is it finance or is
Identifying the
it,
cycle.
yeah, is it payment and purchases?
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. I see what you mean. Anybody else?
Hi, Unati.
Hi.
I think on my side, when I was reading the scenario, I thought maybe they're going to ask about revenue cycle. So when the required wanted cash and cash equivalent, and then I was sort of like a little bit sort of like thrown away, because like my expectation from the scenario and then what was required. Yeah. So and then yeah, if like in cases like that, normally it gets like it sort of like takes time for me again to get back to like this is what they're asking, this is what they're asking, not what I've assumed. So yeah, that's the challenge.
Okay, so you read and then you conclude in your mind what it is that they're going to ask you.
Yes, because of the information that I was identifying when I was reading.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, is there anybody else who wants to share before we get into the question? Okay, that's fine. You don't have to share. Okay, so my approach is, my understanding is correct still, right? You guys have reading time and then you receive the required after the reading time.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's my approach then. Okay, so I read things on a line by line. And then after every line, or depending on how much info is in the line, maybe after every paragraph or so, I take a step back and I ask myself what I've read. So that's the approach that I would like us to take. It might seem like it leans towards Mabel's approach of assuming, but you'll see that when we take the broader step, that we are actually analyzing and evaluating, and we're thinking from a holistic potential place, because when you get to the exam, you'll be examined on the scope of the entire syllabus, and it won't just be limited to pre-engagement or risk assessment, or so it won't be an isolated thing. You'll literally receive a scenario and you could be asked anything from governance until finalization. Cool. So they start us off by explaining that Great Safe Pty Limited is a small family-owned store that sells groceries and assorted household goods. The store was opened 25 years ago by Mr. Zach Andreas and his wife Susan in the Alberton area in Gauteng. Zach and Susan are the sole owners and only directors of Great Safe. The store is ideally located close to a highway off-ramp, which has resulted in a significant growth in the business over time. Having read that paragraph, is there anything that you guys think is important to note?
I think family-owned business.
Okay.
I also think
Hang on. In noting that it is a family-owned business, what about it being a family-owned business do you think is important or worth noting?
So with it being a family business, maybe with regards to like close relationships and stuff, maybe the CPC might come into play later on.
Okay.
I think
I'm
to
going to put
add
that
on
one in
that,
italics.
my problem with it being a family business is that it will be easy to override the internal controls.
Okay, so if we think that it's easy to override internal controls, when we speak about audit language, what do we say there?
Hi, Unati.
Yeah.
We say internal control weaknesses.
Yeah, so potentially or potential weaknesses in control environment, or you can say control environment may not be strong/sound, something like that. What else do we think?
A presumed significant risk.
Keep going. Remember,
Yes.
risk means something can go wrong. So you're saying
Yeah,
something
management
can go wrong.
override of control is a presumed significant risk.
Okay. But that is something that is true for any business. Not just a small company. Anything else?
I think also the size. It's also I think they also only have one location or only one store. If I
No, still on the fact that it's a small store. On the fact that it's a small
Oh,
store.
sorry.
So when we see a big company, we say there's a risk that they might overstate profits, right? Because they're trying to maybe increase the value of the company or something like that. Do you think the same thing could be said for a small company?
I think so, Unati. If here the scenario says they're experiencing significant growth. So this might be growth that they have not prepared for.
What about it being a small company? Small companies tend to struggle with high expenditure, right? If you've got high expenditure, wouldn't you want to decrease your profits so that you have an assessed loss and you don't pay tax? So wouldn't the manipulation work the other way around? Remember, you'd want to increase the value of your company if you're potentially looking for people to buy into your company, or if your company is listed and you want people to buy shares. But if it's a small little family-owned business, you're trying to keep as much money within the house as possible. You don't really want to pay tax, like, because the tax is reducing your profit.
Yeah.
So isn't there a potential for a manipulation of profits in the other direction? So they could potentially understate their revenue so that they don't pay taxes.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Then in the paragraph, anything else? In the rest of the paragraph, somebody wanted to bring something in about the location.
Yes, it looks like they only have one store, so that could, in terms of our audit, what you call audit plan, audit strategy, we know that there's only one location. And also there's the owner, the owners are also the directors. I don't know if I think someone might have said that before. So in terms of there could be no compliance, there could be lack of compliance to King.
So yeah, lack of compliance with King, but remember it's a private company, they don't have to comply with King. But it would be a recommendation. But yesterday, somebody mentioned something interesting about hiring more staff. And then we spoke about considering the size of a business. So maybe we should just be mindful of any recommendations that we make. just say hire more people. Maybe they don't have capacity to hire more people. What else do you guys see?
The sole owners and only directors. There's threat of self-review.
I like that one.
I'd say maybe considering the company is 25 years old, there might not be an issue of going concern.
Okay, because it's been around for a long time. So that's sort of a mitigating factor.
Yeah.
Let's say established. Coming back to the self-review threat, what from a control perspective walks hand in hand with a self-review threat?
Segregation of duties.
Yes, segregation of duties, or rather the lack thereof.
Or can we appoint external person for our books?
You can, but you must be mindful of the recommendations. If it's practical for them from an affordability perspective, then yes. If not, maybe not. But you can still give it as a recommendation, just in the recommendation state, if it is practical to do so.
Okay.
Okay, anything else in this paragraph? There's just one more thing I'm looking for. And we mentioned it briefly, but we weren't really even talking about it.
On the first paragraph.
Well, it's the second word. It's PTY, it's not listed.
Oh, okay.
Very important to note that the company is not listed. Okay. See, you can get a lot of information from one paragraph. The paragraph that you guys just go and then you're looking for, for where you think the meat is. Second paragraph, Zach, constantly looking for ways to enhance the shopping experience of his customers, has taken advantage of developments in the electronic payments industry over the years. Amongst others, he implemented an integrated point of sale system called AutoSale that records all transactions processed by the point of sale system electronically and enables payment of transactions by means of debit and credit cards. Anything interesting you guys find there?
I'd say IT controls are in place.
Are they in place, or are we interested to know what controls would be in place?
Yeah, I think we'd need to know exactly, I would say not the performance of the IT controls, but what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. Go again. Let me hear.
Yeah, I forget the word is escaping me, but I know it has to do with the IT controls to see if the risk of IT
operating
controls.
effectively, or if they are designed appropriately to meet
Yes.
the control objective, or okay.
Yeah.
So the design of the controls. And then somebody whose surname is Fipaza had their hand up. Oh, Ugutle.
Yes, hi, Onati.
Hi.
I think we could consider the change in the accounting system. That could also give us some risks.
Yeah, so I mean, we would also want to know, when was the system implemented? Because if it was implemented during the year, then we're worried about potential data transfers, if all the data was accurately transferred. What else would you be worried about?
I
I
also add, sorry.
Yeah.
Is it possible that whether they have the expertise or knowledge to actually use the new system that Zach has implemented?
Yeah, like have the people been trained on the system?
Access controls on the software.
Yeah, so that forms, let's maybe do it this way. In here, in what are the controls? Let me say access controls. Cool. Somebody else wanted to say something?
Self-interest threat here. Because they
going.
can capture whatever they want to capture on the system to reduce the profit, like maybe for tax purposes.
So when you start with self-interest threat, right? There's a self-interest threat to what? Which principle?
I can't say objectivity. What can I say?
And I suppose I should have also said the same thing when we spoke about the self-review threat as well. Which principle would you be pointing that to? And then also, to which person are you pointing that to? Because at this point, we don't have information that Zach and Susan are CAs. Anything else? So I think I would want to know that the transactions being recorded by the point of sale system, which also enables payments and payments by means of debit and credit cards, how are these being transferred into the accounting system? Because a point of sale system is not an accounting system. And what are the controls around that? Sorry?
I'm just saying maybe it's done manually, because
yeah, and if it's manual, we've got risk.
Yeah, there might be
what if they don't transfer the data correctly?
Yeah, omission and all it, errors and fraud.
Yeah, I think so. Errors and then opportunity to commit fraud. Okay, anything else?
Self-interest is coming in, Unati.
Sorry?
I'm saying like fraud and errors, like what do you call it? Self-interest is coming in.
Yes, but we need more
fraud.
information. We need more information to confirm if we have CAs. So we can put it there. Opportunity for fraud plus potential self-interest, and then again, if CAs, right?
Oh, okay.
I'm also concerned about the use of debit and credit cards to make payments. Does that system also store the client's information? Because that could create a lot of cyber risk, ending up compromising clients' information. So what type of controls they have in place for that?
That's a beautiful one. Okay. Is there anything else we're concerned about?
Unati, I think since this is a self sort of like integrated like system, I'm thinking if it crashes, will we be able to trace transactions post that system being offline?
So like
I
the
don't know if you could,
backups or
yeah,
recovery
backup,
systems,
yeah,
something
recovery
like that,
systems
right?
in place, yeah.
Valid one as well. Okay, then they say these changes resulted in a significant increase in foot traffic in the store during the financial year ended 31 December 2020. Zach and Susan realized that because of the increase in the volume of the daily transactions, the cash management system in the store had to be enhanced with stronger controls. At the end of financial year 2020, cash and cash equivalents reflected in the statement of financial position were as follows. The point of sales cash register float, which is cash on hand, was 150,000. The petty cash, which is also cash on hand, was 100,000. The bank balance, which was a current account, had 498,500 Rand. The short-term deposit, which is a money market account, had 1,250,000 Rand, and the total cash and cash equivalents had 1,998,500 Rand. Total assets held at the end of the year amounted to 4,501,700 Rand, and therefore cash and cash equivalents make up a significant portion of the assets on the statement of financial position. What do we think there?
Possible theft.
Theft where?
Like the petty cash is just too much. And let me just say
Right?
cash. Yes.
Yeah, like why do you have 100? I thought petty cash is those small little kitty containers. Why do you have 100,000 Rand of petty cash for a small grocery store?
It's too much.
What else? Let's maybe just be clear, balance too high. What do we think about the cash register float? How many tellers do you think they need to have if in each cash register, the total of that is 150,000 Rand? It's also quite a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
Anything else?
Don't you think having this much cash it's hindering growth of the company? Maybe they can invest. I don't know how to phrase that. I don't know.
That's good, but you're in the wrong module. That's a math consideration. You're in the wrong That's a business. It's a business enhancement thing. Yeah, they could potentially use that money and invest it. Yes, but from an audit perspective, we're not worried.
With the amount of cash that they have, considering their bank accounts and the cash on hand, my basis of materiality would be on assets.
Why?
It's a significant risk.
What? The assets?
The cash and cash equivalent is a significant risk.
So you would base materiality on cash and cash equivalents, or you would base it on total assets because cash and cash equivalents is a significant risk?
Yes.
So when we talk about materiality, right? Materiality as defined in accounting as well, and I think in auditing as well, it's also defined there. But in CTA studies and ITC and APC moving forward, your definition of materiality means information that would affect the decision making of the users, right?
Yeah.
So the question when you talk about whether or not something is material is, would the users want to know, right? Or what are they most interested in? Yes, they could be interested in the cash and cash equivalents balance, but this company is not an asset-driven company. This company would be revenue-driven because the purpose of this company's existence is to generate revenue, not to generate assets. So the users would be more interested in the revenue. So maybe revenue would be a better basis to base materiality on.
Okay, makes sense.
In a listed company, the shareholders are interested in the profit. So perhaps the profit is a better basis to use for materiality. In a company that is like a real estate company where they buy all these properties and they rent them out or they sell them or whatever, there they are capital intensive and they're asset intensive. Total assets there could potentially be, you know, more appropriate. Or if the company is a holding company and it holds investments in multiple businesses, total assets could then be a base, because then the shareholders would be interested in the asset base because that's what they're investing in. Happiness.
Happy.
Cool. But the significance of the total cash and cash equivalents is something that we need to talk about, the size of the balance. If the balance is large, from a quantitative perspective, being the number, isn't the chance that a misstatement could actually be material just because of the size of the balance?
Yes, that's possible.
I think so too.
Hi, Unati.
Hello.
With the misstatement, right, and the risks as well, is it possible to, like, linking those two things together, is it possible to say, for instance, there's the bank current account and there's the short-term deposit, that we confirm these balances to the bank statement to actually confirm that these are the balances on the bank statement and that they are not really misstated?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Please just repeat it.
With regards to your misstatement statement, like when you mentioned there would be a misstatement.
There could be.
Yes.
Could be. Yeah.
But another risk that we could look into would be confirming the bank current account and the short-term deposit balance to the bank statement to make sure that these are actually the balances.
Yes, that would be an audit procedure that you would perform.
Okay.
We're just not discussing audit procedures because we haven't done that yet. That's in phase 3.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is a valid procedure that could have been performed. So if the question asked you to perform or to describe the substantive procedures that you would perform to confirm the cash and cash equivalent balance, that would be one of the procedures you would perform.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Unati. I think English is kicking me.
It's kicking me as well in this sentence.
They in paragraph 2, when they're saying all transactions are processed by the POS system, do they mean that they process all their transactions using, like, via debit cards and credit cards, or they also accept cash in this business?
I suppose because they have a cash register float, they also accept cash.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask about that. Okay.
And then, do you know what a point of sale system is?
No.
Okay. Remember yesterday we spoke about a system description and we spoke about going to checkers and then you take your stuff out and the lady at the till goes beep, beep on those things.
Yes.
You see the machine that's going beep?
Yes. Yes.
The point at which you make your sale.
Oh, okay. Oh,
It's
so
your point
okay.
of sale system.
Okay. So it's
It's
the
the
whole
system that
sale
records your
thing.
sales. Sorry?
It's that whole computer and that thing.
Yes.
Mm,
The thing
okay.
that is logging the sale is your
Mm,
point of
mm.
it's the
Oh,
point at which you make your sale.
yeah, I get it now. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
Hi, Unati.
Hi.
In the third paragraph, there is a sentence, the last sentence, which says that the cash management system in the store had to be enhanced with stronger controls. I think I see that as a mitigating factor in one of the risks that we identified, which is the potential for theft. Is it
So I
not
like that you're
appropriate?
noting that there's a mitigating side on the cash management system, right? But remember, we would want to see controls on the cash management system. But the same way they've strengthened controls in cash management, which is the point of sale system, have they done a corresponding strengthening of the controls on the accounting side?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So as much as here, when you list it and you see it, it's a positive thing. You also just need to question, because it's two separate systems and the one system feeds into the other system. It doesn't help if your one system has tight controls and then once you feed it into the next system, which is actually the one that you use for your financial reporting, that the controls on that side are weak.
I see. I see. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
Hi, Unati.
Hi.
Why not? But I'm saying that the change at the sentence where they say the changes resulted in a significant increase in the foot traffic. To me, it triggers that looks like there was a change into a new system which may bring an error or omission to the transactions.
Which made? Yeah, so they've already explained that there has been a change. The change is the point of sale system. So I think maybe what they're trying to describe is that maybe previously they didn't have a system. Maybe the tellers were, calculating manually. And then now because they've got a system, people are coming to the store more often because it's a lot quicker.
Yes, so I think that one can I also highlight that part? That's what I've highlighted on my side.
So when you highlighted, what about it are you highlighting?
I said the changes to a new system may cause an omission or an error to the transactions of the of the payment transactions in the company.
How?
Pardon? Sorry.
How?
Yeah. Now I'm brain blocked. Okay, when you change into a new system, because as you explained, it looks like they come from manual type of system, right? So now when we're going to transfer data into a new system, there's a possibility that not everything can be recorded. There can be a missing because they're taking data from the manual to the automated system. Or there can be an error, like they can miscalculate it.
We noted.
Or maybe I'm wrong.
We did the transfer into the accounting system. We can maybe add here data transfer.
Okay.
Or data loss on transfer. No,
All right.
we chatted about it, but we didn't put it down.
Oh.
So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? So I always like to highlight when their year end is, just because you want to know when things are happening. That becomes more relevant once you start to deal with your finalization, and also potentially when you're looking at some Companies Act considerations. So just noting the year end, I think I won't put a comment or maybe just highlight it. The year end for me is always important. Do a question, the first thing I'm looking for is the year end, so that you know when certain things are taking place. Anything else?
Hi, Onati. I'm not sure. So when they mentioned that there was an significant increase in foot traffic, could that be like an indicator of possible risk around the completeness of the transactions that occurred due to them not being used to having such high amounts of transactions?
I don't know that them having increased foot traffic would risk completeness, because remember, they're using now a point of sale system. So every sale would be recorded in the point of sale system. The completeness part would be for me on that intentional management override, where management would intentionally want to understate revenue. So the system could record everything and the system could be complete, but when management is transferring into the accounting system, they could potentially not transfer everything.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Cool. We spoke about the potential for theft here. I think what we also need to think about is the controls in place to mitigate. And the same here. Okay. Yesterday we spoke a little bit about those transactions that happen in the investment cycle, where you don't necessarily post frequently. So because of infrequent posting, there could be a risk of material misstatement.
Hi, Unati. Can I take you back a little bit to that foot traffic in December? Can you hear me? Ne?
Yes, you guys like this foot traffic.
Yeah, so I didn't think about it, but I didn't highlight it on my things. But now that someone is sort of highlighted it out. So I was thinking to say, okay, so they're saying there was an increase in foot traffic in the store during the month of December, of which now on my side, it's sort of to say, okay, in that month, there may be possible stock that might be missing. So can't we then consider a risk there for that month because the store is a bit crowded, if I'm reading it correct?
Okay, so we want to know the controls around the foot traffic and the security guards, right?
Yes.
Around, I'm going to say customer security. Slash theft mitigation. Cool, I like that one. Okay, anything else before we move to the next part?
You're talking about mitigating factors, ne?
I was talking about
mitigating factors, like what can we... Okay, so I was thinking about developing some online apps, like online
Sorry, Khomotso, you were cutting in and out.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe they can develop some apps for online sales.
So that
Pardon?
So the purpose of the online sales would be for what?
To reduce foot traffic.
But they want foot traffic. They want customers in the shop.
No, but like you're still gonna have your clientele or your customers if you develop your online app and then maybe advertise, like put more catalogs on the app, I don't know, for them to see what you're selling in store.
They want foot traffic. They want customers in the store.
Okay.
Unati, can I maybe try this one?
Mm-hmm.
So because Zach is the one who came up with the system, I think I would want to find out who has power at the store to override that system when he's not around. You see, when you buy at Pick n Pay, they have these vegetable combos. Sometimes that combo doesn't capture correctly. Then they would call the supervisor to come and override whatever that is not captured correctly, or the price that is not put in correctly from their database. So I'm not sure how to put it in, but I think I would want to know,
You want to know the
besides him,
privileges.
yeah, who has those privileges to override transactions or the system itself.
Okay, I've got it there. We want to know, in terms of access controls, who has privileges on the system. Okay. Next part. The cash management system. They say the store does not extend credit facilities to customers, and customers need to pay for all purchases before exiting the store at any of the store's 6 point of sales terminals. So there's 6 cashiers. That puts that other question into perspective about if there's 6 cashiers and it's 150,000. I don't have a calculator, but that's of money for 6 cashiers. Then they say each point of sales terminal is equipped with a point of sales cash register, a screen, a card swipe machine, a receipt printer, and a barcode scanner. Each point of sales terminal is also linked to the auto sales system and is operated by a cashier. When customers present their shopping to the cashier, all the barcodes on their purchased items are scanned by the cashier. The auto sales system accesses the inventory master file, which contains a record of all prices of all items. The point of sales terminal screen then displays the item description and price. What are we thinking there?
Just to touch on the last sentence, or rather the second last sentence, we'd want to inquire or ask whether who has access to the inventory master file so that we can see who has access to manipulating the prices so that we ensure that the correct prices essentially are made at the point of each sale.
Okay. What else?
Test of controls.
For what?
See exactly when they're doing that, to check when they're doing it.
When they're doing it what? You need to express your thoughts fully, because until you express them fully, you're going to realize in the exam as you start to write that you can't answer the hows, how, why, and what, and you won't get marks. So doing it being what?
Okay, another thing, sorry to interrupt, Nati. We can just maybe put cameras next to each cashier so that when they scan their foods or whatever item, we can see that they've actually
cameras
scanned it. Yes.
at the terminals. So maybe at this point we are asking if there are cameras.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, may I ask? Why do we need to put cameras?
Isn't it a control?
Mitigating the risk.
No, it's not like I wanted to find out like if isn't it I just want to understand like what if we put control, like I get we're mitigating the controls, but why the cameras at the store at the point of people paying?
So what if the cashiers
They're stealing money? Or we avoiding
the
them
customer by giving the customer too little? Oh, sorry, Octavia, go ahead and kill your point.
to pick up when they've paid, let's say, double payment, or they didn't pay, short pay the customer when they were paying them, or also when probably they didn't bring any items. Because you can come, you can bring your cousin, you pretend as if you've scanned the product while you haven't scanned it. So it's part of mitigation. Yeah.
Okay, no, I see.
Bernice, does that answer your question?
I kind of have a little bit of a twitch, but it's fine. Now I understand where she comes from. Because I said, I'm trying to imagine how you explain to us the checkers thing. And that's how I'm putting it. So like, I'm not saying
checkers.
Yeah, yes, there is. But the way she was explaining, I'm not against the fact of cameras. I just want to find out why, because I did not think that way myself personally.
Yes.
So and now, but I truly understand. Thank you very much. So I didn't think of cameras personally, because the reason why I did not think of cameras because of I was like, if somebody has to access it, like the way she explained, wouldn't there be a trail that this person accessed on this time and everything? And then if somebody else accessed on somebody's behalf.
Accesses what?
So
the cash register.
They are your terminals when they log into their terminals.
Yes, because no, I'm not. That's how I thought. Then the cameras, I wanted to find out why. So thank you very much. I did not think that way. That one is another thing to add on to on my side. That's what I wanted to find out. Sorry?
Also like what happened in this exchange, somebody mentioned something about logging into the terminals. So what are the access controls in the terminals? Do they log in using a username and password? How do you know which cashier is actually operating the till at that point in time?
Oh, the question was for me.
No, it wasn't a question. I was making a statement that I liked what came out during your conversation. Somebody, one of the two of you mentioned username and password, log in to the system.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. And then Octavia gave a camera, so I didn't understand why she said cameras. And I thank her for actually bringing that up. I did not actually think that way.
Yes, so I'm saying both of them are valid. I've added now the access controls being the username and password to log into the system.
Okay, now I understand. No, thank you very much.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
Any errors on the inventory master file?
Hi, Amati. I'm not sure if I'm going.
Okay, let's first conclude with the errors on
Hi,
the master
Amati.
file, and then
I would think of any errors that the inventory master file has. Maybe, for example, when the customer buys a bottle of drink, but instead the master file recovers a price for a bottle of milk instead of that drink.
errors in the I'll say the price allocation. Well, let's say accuracy. Accuracy. Let's do this. Accuracy of file data. Do you like that? Does that make you happy?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Then somebody else wanted to say something.
Yes, Unati, I wanted to ask, maybe I'm going off tangent a little bit, but what if is the POS connected to the inventory module to alert the business if they've reached the reorder levels?
A nice one. I like that one. Where is it? Linked to the auto sale system, blah, blah, blah. Auto sale accesses the inventory. Okay, so here I won't be able to add a separate comment. So let's do this. And say stock order levels. Stock order level alerts, something like that, right? Okay. Let's go into the total amount payable, including value-added tax.
Sorry,
Since, yes.
I think I wanted to add, I think there's a line, I kind of missed it now because I've been keeping that thought. It says, and customers need to pay for all purchases before exiting the store. We need to confirm that the control is in place that actually confirms that actually happens. Like, is there a security guard at the door that checks the goods bought to the till slip?
Good one. Anything else here?
Yes, also on the same point that he's just added, you can have those scanners where if you didn't, any item was not ranked at the till, it beeps at the door.
I'm gonna call it a beep beep machine. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Or to detect, let's try and use nicer language, to detect items not paid for.
Paid for, yeah.
Yeah. In the exam, you'll think of a nicer name than beep beep machine, but
I just say scanner at the door.
Okay.
They call it hand scanner.
A hand scanner, but that one is on the door. The hand scanner, isn't that used for guns? Okay, well, let's call it a scanning machine. Okay. Anything else?
Test of control.
Yes.
Try also to double scan the item and see whether it picks it up. If the same item has been scanned twice and it gets rejected or
Double
no.
scan. If I'm buying 10 Red Bulls, the cashier can scan that Red Bull 10 times.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
On that point of the Red Bull, Unati, wouldn't the Red Bulls have different barcodes?
Not if it's the same flavor.
Okay.
Remember, a barcode is a means for you to pull information from the inventory master file. The barcode is what identifies the price of that item. So because that item has the same price, because it's the same inventory item, it'll have one. I'm not sure what groceries you have in your cupboard, but if you have 2 of something, I would say you should take the 2 of them and look at the barcode. You'll see the barcode is identical if it's exactly the same product. If the flavor is different, the barcode might differ by 1 or 2 digits. But if you've got 2 Cokes in the fridge, just take them and look at the barcode. It'll be the same.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. The total amount payable, including value-added tax, since Great Save is a VAT vendor, is calculated after all the items have been scanned. The cashier next selects a payment option on the cash register on the customer's payment preference, which is cash or card. If the customer pays in cash, the cashier captures the amount received from the customer and the cash drawer automatically opens and the amount of change, if any, is displayed on the screen. The cashier inserts the cash and takes out the necessary change. If the card option is selected, the transaction activates on a card machine connected to the point of sales terminal, and the customer inserts a credit or debit card into the card machine and enters a personal identification number to effect payment. What do we think there?
Cashier can give extra change.
Yeah, the cashier. So we're worried about the accuracy, right? Okay, what else?
Okay, that could so be my point would also be an accuracy issue, but looking at this, when the cashier, if I give the cashier 100 rand, they can easily punch in 200 or whatever, an incorrect amount, and then give me incorrect change, because that is the amount I give to them, they punch in manually. But that's also an accuracy
So the
issue.
input, so it could be inaccurate input, right?
Wouldn't that be mitigated by the cameras?
It would be, but that doesn't mean that the risk isn't there.
Okay.
Sorry, Unat, may I ask?
Risk is could go wrong.
I just wanted to know if in this case, now that they just told us that Great Save is a VAT vendor, there are no risks that could be triggered by that.
There are definitely risks. They don't just give you information for giving you information. So you must tell me what could go wrong with them being a VAT vendor. We spoke about it yesterday when we talked about IFRS 15. How is revenue supposed to be recognized?
Yes,
Without VAT.
Yeah, incorrect recognition of revenue. Or rather inaccurate, because we're working with assertions now.
Or incorrect VAT rate used.
Say incorrect VAT treatment. So be careful not to go too granular. Try to keep it focused on the topic. Because then you're going to talk about incorrect rate being used, or the incorrect, I don't know, calculation, or and then you're going to have like 5 things that you want to talk about VAT, but actually you're only supposed to talk about 2 things or 1 thing, or which is the VAT treatment. All of that falls into the VAT treatment. Anything else?
Renati.
Hi.
With regards to the customer taking out a lot of change, how is it a weakness? Like
the customer taking out what? Sorry?
An incorrect amount of change.
If the cashier takes out an incorrect amount of change, then you could have potential theft, or you could have misstatement, because then your books won't balance.
Yes, but then isn't it what is happening every day that the customers would take out the necessary change? Isn't it that maybe if you would want to detect it, it will be maybe when we are cashing up or something?
Yes, so you can put in a control for cash up. That you could definitely do.
But then it does not, like for us to identify it as a risk, it's not like we can there could be a way of preventing that. The only thing that we will be preventing is afterwards, like basically after the the cashier has taken out an incorrect amount of change. So I don't know if you understand my question.
You can prevent it. You can prevent it by making your business a no cash business. I don't know if you've seen around Woolworths, especially Woolworths Cafe. They're starting to
okay.
put signs up to say this business is becoming cashless.
Oh, okay, okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Because I was like, but then that's what we do every day. Like that's how like cashiers would.
You know, when you said that, I thought you meant that the cashiers cheat you every day, and I thought, do you just stand for it? Like,
no, no, not that, not that. But then thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
But can we set up a limit so that when the cashier reaches a certain amount, maybe they take out their float?
That's why
to
we also
reduce
spoke
the
about
risk,
this float of 150,000 being too much.
It's just to reduce
Yeah.
the risk of loss.
So you can't set it that when a cashier reaches a certain amount, maybe that they should, you know, stop operating at the till. I actually don't know if that's how it works, but for me, practically, I think it would be during the change of shift. That's
They
when
can take
people
the float
normally
out. They can take the actual float out and start with the new float, like on the zero or balance or something.
But there needs to be somebody there because you need to count the cash at that point.
Bear in mind your foot traffic.
Yes. So I think it depends on the dynamic of the store. Again, that one is a little bit of a granular one where you would need more insight into what's happening at the store. I think for now, the level of saying that they should have a cash up, that should be sufficient, and that there should be somebody there when they are cashing up. Are we happy?
Yes.
Yeah, we must be careful not to go into too much detail. Anything else?
Fake banknotes.
Fake banknotes.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose you could put it with theft. I think I would keep it as theft. Again, remember, if you're going too granular, you're gonna find that they're asking you to discuss weaknesses, marks, and then you're gonna talk about 20 things before you get to the 10 that they actually wanted you to talk about. Because using fake banknotes is also theft. So we're then talking about theft from the customer side as well as theft from the cashier side. You could maybe split it into those two categories.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just be careful not to go too detailed. Anything else? Okay. Once payment is successful, a duplicate cash register slip is printed from the receipt printer. One copy is handed to the customer and one copy is kept by the cashier. Card payments can take up to 3 business days to be processed and be reflected in Great Safe's bank account. Great Safe's bank charges a service fee of 2% of the transaction value on all card payments. Anything there?
The risk of that they will not receive money. The one part where they say card payment can take up to 3 days to be proceeded and be reflected. How sure are we that we actually the payment has gone through and be successful? So I don't know. I wanted to ask how can I put it in a shorter version? That's how I thought.
Or
I would want to link it with cut off to say that.
I love that one. I love that one.
Say for transactions that occurred maybe towards the end of the year and date, we might not have a correct balance in the bank account because the transactions take up to 3 days.
I like that one. I really like that one.
Okay.
Okay, and as well, the potential for transactions not being successful. It's possible you can swipe your card goes through, maybe you go into a minus, and at the time the bank forgives you, and maybe they think you're going to make a deposit, and the next day you haven't made the deposit and the bank reverses the transaction. When I see them talk about documentation, I always think about what is in the cycles. I like the fact that the cash register is in duplicate because that means that one copy goes to the customer and the other copy goes to the cashier. But what I want to know is this thing sequentially numbered? How do I track how many slips are coming out of the the system, because that tells me about the completeness. Yes, no? Sequential numbering doesn't tell you completeness.
I agree.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
No.
Can I please add? I wanted to add something. I think revenue recognition, as I'd say accuracy, is could also be at risk. I don't know how they're going to deal with that 2%. Do they recognize revenue at 98%, or do they recognize it 100% and make that an expense? But revenue recognition is a risk as well.
Yeah. Like, do they, because the revenue shouldn't include the 2%. Okay. Then they tell us the accounting process, right? Okay, wait, when we talk about the accuracy of the revenue and this 2%, and we also talk about the fact that it takes 3 days and stuff, is there a control you guys can think of that would mitigate this? This is so you've got your camera on. I'm not sure if that is intentional or if it is by mistake.
So for
the control, can we say that maybe the sleep should keep separate the fee? I'm not sure if it's possible. So the fee amount should be kept separate to the transaction amount on the sleep, so that whoever that does the accounting can know that, okay, this part goes to like, you know, the way that will be. I don't know, isn't it possible?
How are you going to keep it separate? You're not receiving it in cash. It's happening on the card payments.
I think it will be a matter of different time of recognizing your revenue. Because once
Yes.
it has processed the whole transaction, maybe you might raise a liability or something, or refund for something, or liability. I think it will be a liability in the meantime for that 2%. Maybe
But
later.
how do you
after
ensure the accuracy?
a control that can be in place.
Reconciliation.
It could be
Reconciliation. Somebody said
Yes.
reconciliation. Talk to me.
Yeah,
Yes, I was gonna say.
I think daily I think daily the cash or payment transaction could be reconciled.
Maybe not daily. They can do it maybe monthly.
Or monthly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about daily, but let's put it there. I don't think you would be penalized. And then after performing the recon, what should happen? One person does the work, another.
Yeah, the other person reviews.
There we go. Now your control is properly designed.
And they must sign.
Okay. Yes, wonderful. Evidence of review.
And follow up on any discrepancies.
You guys are auditors.
Hell yeah.
Saiga doesn't need to prove that.
What?
I was saying Saiga doesn't need to prove that through ITC. It might as well give us the qualification.
They must just, they must just give it to you guys. You guys are ready.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's got a bunch of CAs here.
Unati.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's better if they change from this this Great Safe Bank maybe use a popular bank, because
All
I don't
banks
know.
have charges.
But it's not a control.
Yeah, all banks have charges, even if they moved from Great Safe and went
And
somewhere else.
payments can be delayed.
Remember, some of the banks, they are not well, what can I say? They are not recognized by other banks. Like, okay, they do recognize them, but the risk of transferring money into that bank account, it's
What
high.
risk is it? Is
Sorry.
it an audit risk or is it a business risk? Back
It's
to
a
what
business.
I think it was Octavia who was saying now.
It's a business risk because, like, let me say, that's
So
why
we're
it's
not
long
so
to transfer
concerned
to
about
Great.
it right now.
Oh, okay.
Because remember now we're looking at risk of material misstatement.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to disturb, ne? The name of the business is Great Save. So
Yes.
Great Save's bank
Oh.
is their bank. They just didn't mention the name of the bank.
I
Oh,
realized
okay.
that after I said it.
Yeah, but even the bank that they're using now, I don't think it's a good one. Because that's why the banks are taking long to transfer money into that bank account. I don't know.
But it happens with all the
3
banks.
days is
Certain
normal.
credit card payment, yes, it does
That's normal.
happen.
36. Okay. All right.
Not all payments are instant.
Mm.
It happens, especially on weekends. You'll notice sometimes we'll be shopping on the weekend and you'll swipe your card and then you get notifications and then the bank will give you a balance and then they'll give you an available balance. And then those two balances are not the same. It's because the bank is still holding the other transactions. They haven't paid it over, but they don't want you to spend the money that they haven't paid over.
Because if you count weekends as well, it's gonna be long because they say in 3 business days. Okay.
Yeah, also sometimes if you send somebody money on a Saturday, they won't get it. They'll get it somewhere during the week. Think practically about it. Okay, then they tell us about the accounting process. Sorry?
Did someone explain to me when we're referring to, I think I'm lost now. When we're referring to payment reflecting, do we mean like the point of sale, like a transaction saying that it went through or was successful? That's what we mean when we say that it should reflect.
We mean from the card machine. Yeah, from the card machine to reflect in the bank statement.
Not on the receipt, because you would be, for example, you'd be going on a till and it's in your card, and then you get your receipt to see that transaction was successful. We're not referring to that.
No, we're talking about when it physically reflects in the bank account.
Oh, okay.
Then they talk
Unati,
about, yeah.
I'm sorry, I want to ask now, since I can see that the part where they say they must give the PIN when they pay via card, right? And now in this time and age where now we just tap, can that, if now they put in a scenario that customers just tap and go, how can we see a weakness in that, and how can we put internal controls in it? Controls.
Well, what weakness do you see? Remember, a control is something that prevents, detects, or corrects a misstatement. A risk is something that could go wrong, that could cause there to be a misstatement. That's why you would put a control in place to either prevent, detect, or correct that misstatement that came from the risk. So if you're saying that there's a risk, you're saying something can go wrong. What do you see that can go wrong with somebody tapping their card that can cause material misstatement?
Cashier can put an incorrect amount, or a customer can overpay.
So that goes with the transaction being activated on the card machine, which is connected to the point of sale system. It's not the same as with the cash. In this specific scenario, I know at other stores it happens where the person physically enters the amount that you have to pay, but that's not what's happening here. Is that the machine is connected to the point of sale system. So the point of sale system tells the machine how much the customer needs to pay.
Okay.
Like when you're at Checkers, Checkers is a big enough store. At Checkers, the teller doesn't put the number in the card machine. She presses something on the screen and then it automatically shows on the card machine and then it says insert, tap or swipe.
Oh, okay. So even if in case in a scenario they put that the customer taps to pay, there cannot be any potential risk. I can.
Yeah, the tapping is irrelevant. Okay. The tapping is irrelevant.
Okay, no, thank you very much.
Okay. Cool. The accounting process. At the end of each business day, Susan downloads a transaction list from the auto sales system, which shows all the transactions that were recorded during the day. The list also shows whether the transactions were processed using cash or a card. Susan uses this list to calculate the total revenue earned on the day. She then posts the following journal entry in Great Save's accounting package. Debit bank current account, credit revenue. Great Save uses an off-the-shelf accounting package with strong built-in application controls to maintain its financial records from which annual financial statements are prepared. The accounting package has been installed on Susan's laptop, which is locked in the office in the store, and Susan avoids cloud computing solutions because of her concerns about security. The computer as well as the accounting software are secured by using logical access controls. Only Susan and Zach have access to the computer and software. What do we think?
Controls and password.
Control password. Let's see. We want the logical access controls.
Yes, logical access control, yes.
I also see them talking about logical access, but I don't see them talking about application access controls.
Yes, that's what yeah. So based on what you told us yesterday, that the computer should have logical access control, and within, if there's any application that is being used, there should also be a password. From the way I'm seeing, it's just a logical access control that protects the laptop.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
And not, yeah. And another thing that I would have mentioned before controls is
This
no
is
one
strong
is
with application controls, though.
Sorry? Somebody else was still speaking. Just please finish off what you were saying, and then I'll hear the next one.
Okay. So
To
I was
maintain
just
financial
saying,
records. So doesn't that count?
Other way around. Q, let's give. Yeah, so it says here A Mawela. I'm just not sure what your name is. Sorry.
yeah, it's Amu. So before I was talking about the logical access controls, like there are no app controls. Before that, I see that Susan actually made a calculation of the total revenue, and I'm not seeing anyone reviewing her calculation. I think that's also the weakness.
Yeah. So we're here. Sorry. Susan uses this list to calculate, review. And then you said something about the journal entry.
Yes, so she just posts them to the journal entry without anyone reviewing the work. I think that's what I got.
Okay, so you want review of calculation?
Yes, review of calculation.
Review of journal entry or journal posting. Okay, Q.
I'm not really sure about.
Oh, Amu, you're not done. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, perfect. It's fine. You can go.
Okay. Q. Q, you're on mute. Is it Q? Okay. Anyone else? Yes, and then.
Yes, so I would say that the we need to have they need to have a backup for the system since it's installed in Susan's computer. What if it?
Yeah, so we spoke about backups earlier, but what I want to get to is how she avoids the cloud computing because she has concerns about security. So, okay, yeah, let me backtrack a bit and agree with you first there. We can see the fact that she avoids cloud computing. We are certain that she does not have backups, which is a concern that we raised earlier. So I'm not going to write it again because we did raise it. But when it comes to her concerns about security and avoiding cloud computing, what would you then bring to the front?
Intrusion detection controls on the system.
What detection, sorry?
Saying intrusion detection controls on the system.
So things like antivirus and firewall, right?
Is to control the vulnerability of intrusions in the IT.
Anything else?
So for the fact that they're saying that the computer is protected by a logical access controls, and there are two people that can access the computer, it means that there is actually no some sort of segregation of duties because of there's only one password that can unlock the computer. Otherwise, a Zach or Susan can actually be working on whatever, and you wouldn't know who's working or who worked on what because it's only the only control that is there is the one that locks and unlocks the laptop or the computer rather.
Yeah, it also doesn't talk about whether they have individual user IDs and things like that. We also mentioned that as well somewhere, so I'm not going to repeat it. Lwandile's hand was up, and then Khomozo.
All right. Looking at the journal, I have the what to call the journal that the person is processing. So when you are doing, let's say, what I'm trying to get to is that 2% that the bank charges. So the bank won't give you the whole amount and then you pay the 2%. The bank takes the 2% automatically on those transactions that are card payments. So I would expect a debit to be 2 debits and then 1 credit for revenue.
I would expect another entry there. I would expect a VAT entry. What about the VAT?
Funati,
yes.
You see, yes, it can be what to call the VAT include, okay, the VAT to be separate. But then for bank, okay, the way I was looking at it is to say for bank, it's supposed to be a debit to the bank and then debit to the
service charge.
Yes, to the service charge and then credit to the revenue. Then now if you can then prepare the VAT on separate, if I'm interpreting it correctly, because once I lump sum them up, they confuse me a lot.
Yes, okay. Your point is valid. I'm just saying that the journal entry is incorrect because it doesn't include VAT and it doesn't include the service charge. I'm on the same page with you. I also don't like net journals because then I can't see what's actually going on. So I actually split out my journals, net journals. But we're not in an accounting class. The point is that the entry is incorrect because it doesn't have VAT and it doesn't have a service charge, either as a separate journal or as a combined journal. Khomozo.
I'm worried about 2 things. Firstly, completeness and accuracy, because Susan has to download these transactions and manually process these transactions. So she might not do that correctly. She might miss other line items. I'm also worried that the system doesn't seem to be integrated with the accounting system. So Yeah, no, there's a lot of like fraudulent activity that might potentially take place
Don't
because of
jump to
this
fraud.
manual
Start with the error. We
Okay.
give people the benefit of the doubt
error.
here.
Yes,
There's a lot of
error.
mistakes that can be made first.
Yes. Yeah. All right, thank you.
And then you've got your hand up again.
Okay,
Sorry,
I just, can I go?
Yes, please do.
Yes. So I just wanted to find out with the introduction now of the bank feeds, will I be wrong to include it that they should implement bank feeds for the card transactions so that they can automatically go into their accounting system?
You said with the implementation of the bank.
The bank feeds, like with the transaction that the EFTs, so that when someone swipes with a card, the transaction will go to the bank and bank feeds.
Yeah.
So that when a transaction happens in their bank, it automatically links with their accounting system to avoid capturing transactions manually.
You want to give the bank access to their accounting system?
Yes.
I don't know that that is something that's done in practice.
It's happening. It's currently happening wherein transactions as and when they are happening, then your bank will be you will have bank feeds. It will take the transactions from the bank and it will put it in your bank as in your accounting system. So you just go and review those transactions and mark them as reviewed. Then in that
Need
way
to have
you
some sort
are
of an
doing.
integration. So maybe if you're using Xero, you would need to integrate that into your system. So I suppose you would need to like apply for it or
Yes.
get an accounting package that liaises with your bank specifically. That can also speak to the lack of integration into the accounting system. It's just now you've gone into a granular detail to say that the bank should do that as well. So your point is valid. It falls under the same point. So again, remember how I said, when you go into too much detail, you end up writing too many points and then you don't get enough marks. And then people always ask, I wrote so much, but I didn't get marks. It's because you kind of were talking about the same thing and you didn't get to the other issues.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else?
Hi, Onati.
Mm-hmm.
Great Saves, this company also uses off-the-shelf accounting package. Isn't there a risk of like data breaches?
Data breaches because the package is off the shelf.
Yes.
For me, a data breach would be because she doesn't have antiviruses and firewalls. The use of an off-the-shelf package for me is more a risk where it seems like there's complex
transactions
things you wouldn't expect a shelf package to be able to do. Then you would need more of a customized system.
Okay, cool. I get it. Thank you.
Cool. Then they say the cash collected during the day at each cash register from each cashier is processed by Susan at the end of each business day. She counts all the cash and places it in a secure container together with a completed bank deposit slip, which she prepared. The container is handed over to a security company that deposits the cash into GreatSafe's bank account at a bank branch. Susan retains a portion of the daily cash takings for the next day's cash float, used to provide change to customers. Petty cash is also held and is used to settle incidental expenses. The cash float, as well as petty cash, is locked in the store's safe. Only Susan and Zach have keys to the safe.
No
We have issues
segregation
here.
of duties.
Yeah, the segregation of duties, right? Okay, we've mentioned it, so
Hmm.
I'm not gonna type it up, but segregation of duties is an issue. Susan is performing incompatible functions, a lot of functions. Like this, yeah, it's ridiculous. Something else?
The counting of the cash, I think there is a risk there on the on the misappropriation that may happen. Because Susan is the one that is counting the cash and then place it in a secure space. So I, as a, let's say in this case, the cashier, when they submit they sort of give the money to Susan, instead of counting it with Susan, so that there is no is it collusion between the two when the cash is missing, is not reconciling to the tail slips and the point of sale report or register.
So what would we want to see? Ideally, you would want the cashier to sign for the amount, right? I mean, if I'm going to take money, I must sign and say I took 100 Rand. And when I bring it back, I must sign and say I brought back 100 Rand, right?
Yes.
And sign. And then also, if there's any shortfalls, I mean, what are the controls around that? Are those documented somewhere on a cash-up sheet? So they should have a cash-up sheet. There should be appropriate documentation there. What else? What's the purpose of the cash-up?
To ensure that the cash balance is according to what your receipts is printing out.
According to your receipts. So you need to reconcile your cash-up to your receipts, right?
Yes.
Remember they said the receipts are printed in duplicate.
Yeah.
Anything else? I'm seeing that she counts the cash and then she places it in a secure container. Then the container is secure container. Is it a lunch box? Is it like, I know cash to be put in a drop box. There's a specific box that is used for cash, especially when it's going to be given to a security company, right?
Safe.
Yeah, I think it's called a Dropbox or a Dropbox safe or something like that. Dropbox safe. And then the security company just takes the container. Doesn't the security guard sign a register to say, I've taken box number this, and it's got this much money in, so that when the guard gets in, you know, everybody knows that the money was not stolen in between?
Even identifying the cards, whether it's the correct cards, because sometimes you can give it to the incorrect cards, incorrect people.
Yeah, so that's why you need like a cash register, a register where they can put in their employee number and all of those things and sign for the cash.
Yes.
What else?
Ungathi, I'm thinking this secure container, does she even put it in a maybe secured like server room or at her desk, maybe
And they say
in her
that
office?
it goes into the safe and there's keys to the safe, but I mean, once you give it to the security company, it's not in the safe anymore. If maybe the security guard is feeling sick that day and he faints after leaving the store and then the box falls on the floor, somebody can just grab the container because it's just a container and they
crazy.
can go, right? Okay.
And also, after she has given the containers to the security guards, he keeps a portion, right, for the float of which for the next day. So you see now there is what you call the cash might be lost or she might be robbed because there is no safekeeping of the float that is not being deposited until the container is back from the Securitas.
Yes, and then, sorry, please just give me 2 minutes. I just need to let my puppy out. He's barking at the door.